So, Zach, you could be beat writer for another 20 years and not see a game that crazy.
What is it with you coming on trips with me? I got two trips we have been on. One was the Orlando comeback last year, and then tonight what do you want to call this? The Boulder fumble, the Boulder blunder. I
I
don't know.
don't know. Yeah, we'll have to work on that. Yeah, 38-31. Colorado wins it in overtime. Um, and it took two just incredible plays that, I mean, you'll you can watch football another 25 years and not see two better plays than the play Shador made to throw the winning touchdown or game time touchdown pass, and then obviously Travis Hunter's
Knocking the ball loose from Dom Richardson.
yeah, I mean those are big time plays.
Man, and the playmakers for Colorado, like you say what you want about the Colorado offensive line or the rest of the team and maybe the buzz and all the stuff. Those two dudes can play.
Oh yeah.
And the connection that they have is very real. And they are like, I'm not breaking any news here, but like, and they were just tearing Baylor apart, and Baylor could stop just about everybody else, but those two just continued to do it time after time. And, it just came back to bite them. And they just, man,
Yeah, and let's speak about to me there were a lot of good things for Baylor from this game. Obviously, some things that they will be kicking themselves over for a while too. Uh, but Sawyer Robertson, he went out, I wrote about it. He showed why he should have the job.
yeah, and he looked confident. He looked, he was a leader out there. You can tell he was firing up the guys, even in the fourth quarter when they were, he was out there being the leader that you want your quarterback to be. And he was making the throws he needed to make. And other than a stretch in the third quarter, you don't think he completed a pass in the third quarter. But other than that, like he was pretty pinpoint accurate all season. And even the touchdown to Hal Presley to give Baylor the lead, that was a dime. Like only Hal could catch that. And he did, and gave Baylor the lead. Now, obviously they lost it, but Sawyer was not the problem.
Absolutely. And here's what else I'll say about Sawyer. One of the big feathers in DeQuan Finn's cap. And here's what I wrote about DeQuan in my column, which was just this is not an indictment on DeQuan Finn. I actually still think he's going to have an impact on this season just because things happen. You never know what's going to happen. But one of the things that was really championed about DeQuan was his dual threat ability. Well, Sawyer Robertson had a 45-yard touchdown.
He led the team in rushing yards.
Yeah. I mean, he's not super fast, but he has a knack of like scooting and, he put him right on the doorstep there in overtime with a 13-yard run. So, yeah. Defense had its ups and downs, but they get 8 sacks of Sanders.
Could have had dave-aranda said they could have had double that.
They could have at least had 10 or 11. Double, I don't know, maybe. I mean, so that's a thing too. I thought the tackling was not always great.
Right. You think of the touchdown right before halftime.
Yeah.
Right. Where, Shador escapes a sack and then, throws it to a receiver who kind of worms his own way out of a tackle by Corey Gordon and goes for a touchdown and kind of completely flips the momentum there. But that's 2 missed tackles on that one play.
So, yeah.
It's
tackling, 2 big ones,
2 huge ones. But, tackling was an issue. But to give the defense some flowers, Keaton Thomas and Matt Jones, they were kind of eating all by. The Colorado offensive line was not good.
Yeah.
Shador was running for his life, and Keaton Thomas and Matt Jones looked the part of linebackers coached by Dave Aranda.
Now, I did think, I looked it up, fourth quarter and overtime, Baylor ran the ball on 10 of 12 plays. I thought the play calling grew a little conservative, a little predictable. Now they were still, they still put themselves in position. So, I guess you could say that, but as I wrote in my column, turned out it was one run too many.
Yeah, right. I mean, and I think the running game kind of started really slow, and it did kind of build into the game until the
Mhm.
fourth quarter. And I agree that it was conservative, and they probably should have thrown a little bit, but at that time, Sawyer, you know, he had that third quarter, like I mentioned, that wasn't very good. So
Mhm.
maybe he wasn't feeling the same that he was in the first quarter. And Don Richardson was starting to maybe find some rhythm, so
And there's
I
always
kind of get why they were running it.
there was always a method to the madness too. We don't see everything they see. So I'm not necessarily giving them a Spavital a pass on that, but um, I understand that um, he's a Big 12 offensive coordinator for a reason.
Right.
I guess the big question here is, I mean, it was just an absolute gut punch of a loss.
Seriously.
Where do you go from here?
And I mean, I think we asked that to dave-aranda, Josh Cameron, and Kyler Jordan. And like they were they almost had to take a minute just to be like almost like this one's gonna hurt, right? Like it's they didn't say that, but like you could just tell by their faces, and there were obviously many tears in that locker room. Like this one is gonna sting, but like like this might sound weird, but like they could use this. Like this could be the kick in the pants that Baylor needs, because I think it's pretty obvious that this year's Baylor team is better than last year.
Oh, unquestionable.
Exactly. And I think that maybe a game like this, like all the good things for the first 59 minutes of the game, I think you can, in a weird way, as much as it hurts tonight, you can build on it. So I think you have to embrace what happened.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be tough for him to do.
That's easy for me to say,
right.
Sitting up here eating my pizza.
Right. But I agree. And one of the things I wrote about, and I'm not always known for being the, sunshine and rainbows guy, but I do think that this isn't the last we've heard of this team. I don't think they're necessarily going to crater and spiral just because they do have a defense that can get after you. They do have a quarterback that's coming into his own.
The offensive line is looking better.
Oh,
like
for sure. That was the worst part of last year's team, and I thought again tonight it looked good. Yeah, I mean, so I do think there's a lot to build on. You got to finish. You got to finish games.
You really do. That's something that like you have to be in those moments to do it, to learn it. You can't practice that. You can't practice what happened. Like you can practice the victory cigar formation, which obviously did not work, but like until you're in that moment, you don't know what it's really like.
Yeah.
Now Baylor has that experience, so I don't know.
We'll see what happens next week. They'll host BYU. Then you got to go back on the road to Iowa State. So we're into conference now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where it's tough every week. And we were up here talking to some other media, and I just think that this league is going to produce maybe not quite this crazy, but
Right.
like crazy finishes every week.
I mean, and it's even more unpredictable across the Big 12 than I think we originally thought. I mean, you say what Utah did today, and I know it's not a conference game, but TCU kind of gave up a lot of points to SMU, and I think BYU is leading Kansas State, who's a favorite. So it's just even more chaotic than I think we all originally thought. So it's wide open.
Yep. So stay tuned. More surprises to come.
Oh, man, I'm sure.
All right. See ya.